We should just have that in the background.
All right, the whole time. That'd be awesome.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alane Paulley, president of MagnaWave, and joining me today is the illustrious
Dr. Myers.
Yay! And we are here to talk about all things PEMF and Red Light. Recently, the reason that we're doing this is I've had a lot of practitioners ask me about how they should add red light to their business. I can answer questions about charging for it, like the best ways that we found to charge and add something like this. Why is it good? All of those things. So I thought what would be great is for Dr. Myers and I to show you some of our red light products, as well as talk about our PMF machines and answer your questions. And like always, I'm going to give away stuff. So we'll give away one thing at the end, and to win that thing, you just need to interact with us throughout the event today. So let's see who's here. Hi, Lisa, Christy in Ohio. It's great. People from all over will watch. Hi, Stacy, Colorado, Joanne in Florida, Michigan, Massachusetts. Hi, Nola. Hi, Tina. Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yes, so everybody could just tell us where they're from. That's great. We would love to hear from you. And then ask us your questions. We're going to try not to break the internet. I did a giveaway the other day where they had to put in a letter, and I wrote a letter down. They guessed it. And it completely broke the internet. Like, well, for me, I couldn't see anything. Not quite that cool. But I couldn't see anything. It was crazy. So if you have questions about red light or about PMF, let us know. I do have right here this is the 10-watt red light device that we offer, and I unplugged it, so that was good. But this device, there it is.
There it is. We're on. Yay.
Ooh. And this runs for about 30 seconds and then turns off. And we have a 10-watt and a 20-watt red light in our line. And so maybe you could talk a little bit about what's the difference between 10-watt and 20-watt?
So we're looking at power, realistically speaking. And the greater the power, the shorter of time you will require in order to get the same amount of effect. So most of the light treatment devices are either categorized as lasers or as LEDs, and we're categorically in the LED section. So we're looking at how much energy is being produced, how that energy affects our electrons, and as our electrons are charged, how they then move. And anytime electrons move, we create a light beam, a light wavelength. So we're looking at where we are in the spectrum of light and how it's being utilized.
So someone just asked, what is red light? It's obviously a red light.
Correct. Yeah, well, yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
But most of our LED lights have multiple wavelengths in them. It's the visual spectrum that we're seeing. So when we look at sort of the scale of where we are looking at light or wavelengths of frequency that are in our spectrum, we have things that are X-rays, we have things that are ultraviolet, we have a visible spectrum, which are all the colors that we can see, and then we have infrared, which is where a lot of that light ray redness is coming from, and then we move past that into microwaves. So on the X-ray side of the scale, the waves are short. As we get all the way over to the microwave side, they are long. Short waves are bad. We know that ultraviolet light is not great for our skin surfaces, causes cancers, those types of things. Certainly the X-ray radiations that can occur, very bad for us as well. We're starting to split atoms, change, ionize cells. We're looking at bad ionizing radiation. As we move into the middle scale of the wavelengths, we're getting into the healing zones. As we get closer to the microwave, longer wavelengths, we're creating a lot of heat in the application of the light. And again, maybe not as helpful, not as harmful as the ionizing radiation side, but certainly not in a zone that we want to be in. So we're left with that middle section, that visible light and the ultra sort of infrared zone. So in that range, we're looking at wavelengths that realistically engage the body in its electron pattern, in that electron movement, which has a healing side of the chemistry.
Okay, for anyone who is not smart, okay, or might be more on my educational level, one of the things I like red light and I like PMF is because we're just talking about like the functions of our body. Like we need light,
Right.
we need a magnetic field. If the Earth's magnetic field were to turn off, we'd all drop dead, right?
Correct.
So having these are all basic functions of our body. You know,
Right.
we need to be in, and so using the different spectrums of light and magnetic field, we can actually just benefit our cellular function.
Correct. Yes. With PEMF, what we're actually doing most of the time by creating an exposure to the magnetic field, which is pretty much the same as what our Earth is in, which is what we need to hum and survive. Like Alane said, if we turned off that magnetic field, not only would the world like spin out to somewhere crazy, but we would all die inherently before the spin out even began to happen. What we're doing in that magnetic field is we're moving our electrons. So all of our cells are made protons, electrons, and neutrons. If we look kind of way back at our schooling histories, right?
Yeah.
The protons and neutrons, we don't change very often. If we do, we're changing the type of entity we have. So the protons and the neutrons help me know if you're a carbon, a hydrogen, an oxygen, those types of things that make up all of our cells.
Yeah.
So we don't like to move them very much because that's not very healthy or helpful. But the one thing that does move everywhere all the time is our electron. That's kind of the cash in the system. We're going to spend cash to make something happen. So our electrons are what are shuffling around, making all of our chemistry work, all of our physiology do its jobs, right? So PEMF moves electrons correctly. And so we're going to gain better function and healing cycles if I'm correctly utilizing my electrons. But in the underneath of that, the way that the electron moves is actually, so let's just say electrons are like cash, like paper cash. So I'm going to exchange ones, fives, tens, hundreds, whatever I've got to do something that I want to do. But underneath that, the electron is actually exchanging its own currency to help transition from one position to the next. So that's like saying I've got coins, right? If you're in Europe, you've got a whole lot of dollar things, but if you're in the United States, you're looking at pennies, dimes, nickels, quarters, those types of things. Those coins are actually what we call photons. They're literally light that the electron is charging and then changing because of the light that's present. So if I combine a modality that changes the light that's being moved around and I combine it to a modality that's helping my electron do it correctly, I have something that changes health exponentially.
And it's true.
It's true.
And you know what I really noticed, I've said this story before. My dad was like all about red light for a while, and he kept buying them and all of them. Okay. And he would say, try this one, try this one, try this one, try this one. And we were trying them. And I just, you know, I wasn't seeing it. You know, and then we got this 10 watt. We got one that, you know, just we got the right wattage, the right strength. And I tried it for the first time. And what I noticed was the change was so much like I felt it. I used it on my husband's back and he was like, oh my gosh, like when you use that with the MagnaWave, like my back feels better faster than it usually does.
Right.
And so then I started using it on our animals and on horses. And I realized that even when we would work on a horse and they would get some release, but it was just like a really difficult case, like of just lameness. We don't really know why. The vet doesn't know. They're like, well, he's just lame. Anyways, so we would try the PMF and we get some result. But every time I combined the red light and the PMF, I saw a difference.
Magic.
And even the trainers and the owners were like, whoa, like and they'll release with just the red light. But when you do the PMF and then add the red light or do the red light and then the PMF, the release is so great. And they, you know, they're not going to lie. They feel better. And so if you always have these times where it's like, I really want to add something with my PMF business, it's the perfect complementary.
It's the perfect complement.
Modality. We actually had somebody who said, can you use your red light with the PMF device at the same time? We don't recommend that. The red light is plugged in. So if the machine is plugged in, it's just best to do one and then the other. The red light only runs depending on the one that you get. The 10 watt runs for a minute. The 20 watt runs for 30 seconds. Again, I recommend 10 watts for anyone who works with animals and humans. A, the price is better. B, the time is only 30 seconds more. You don't worry about it getting hotter or, you know, to me, it just feels better to get the 10 watt. 20 watts great, especially if you're a human being and you're looking to like get rid of inches and like use it on your stomach and you want to use it a lot. But you could do everything that you could do with the 20 watt with the 10 watt. And the difference in time is not.
It's negligible.
It is negligible.
Yeah.
So that's my recommendation. Let's see. Healing of a wound increased significantly once I added red light. Would you recommend doing the red light before PMF or after? Do you have a?
I would say there's no data that says one is better than the other, honestly. There is data about whether you should be utilizing red light and heat or ice. So we would want to do red light before you heat something up, and we would want to do ice before you red light. So there's that component. I'm not sure that it would make any difference whether you're going to do PEMF first or the red light therapy first. So those are probably interchangeable.
I have not seen a difference. I've done it every way. So if you want to get the 10 watt red light, we have a sale today on the 10 watt. That's usually $19,950. This is $1,745. So that's $250 off plus free shipping. You can scan this QR code or go to the link in the comments and use promo code REDOFF, all capital letters, all one word, to get that discount. So I'm going to leave that up for a minute just because this is what we're talking about. Okay. Someone mentioned on here, I believe it was Alane, I noticed that when I work on polo horses, most are dark or bay color. Seems that I need to keep at least 2 inches. Seems dark colors absorb heats. How long can I use on any areas when it goes off in a minute interval to get the best results?
So, Leilani, you're exactly right. And hello.
Aloha.
Aloha, correct, yes. So, yes, the wavelength in the visible spectrum and in the red light region is absorbed faster by darker colors.
That's skin or hair, right?
Skin, hair, tattoos, doesn't matter. Anything dark, and you put the red light over it, it's going to absorb it in a faster fashion. And so you will have a heat byproduct from that you will feel. So again, we would recommend the timing interval on the 10 watt is a minute. The timing interval on a 20 watt is 30 seconds. So if you're using the higher powered device, you would either want to, increase the distance that you have from skin surface to the device itself, let it run for that 30-second period, and then move as you're going forward across your complete, region that you want to treat. And if you wanted to treat it a second time, then start over and do that same pattern again. But honestly speaking, if that 120 watt exposure for that 30-second period of time would be considered a complete treatment, because we're looking in general at how many joules per minute we're receiving into that area. And there's a limit for change after that fact. So it's not about repeating the treatment right at that moment. It may be saying, oh, I'll do it twice a day, right? So, or once a day for multiple days in a row. So not necessarily about repeating the section, but certainly maybe about increasing the time, the frequency that you're actually exposing that to.
Yeah, and I mean, this one runs for 1 minute or 30 seconds, and this gets warm.
It does get warm.
And so I'll move it around and just kind of keep it moving, especially when you're on an animal. That's why I really like the 10 watt. Yeah. Because when you're working with animals, because they can't talk.
Right.
So the ability of just moving it and have it remain comfortable and get those results is so easy.
And some of that may be very dependent on the animal that you're working with. Right. So their tolerance, it may be how much, cellular injury is present. Sometimes that is a more sensitive range. I mean, when we're looking at PEMF and people who tolerate higher, numbers on the dial, versus lower numbers, I mean, you would think some of these individuals who are just really physically fit, ready to rock, are going to tolerate a higher percent. But like we have NFL football players who don't go above 1 or 2. Like that's just where their sensitivity level is.
Correct.
So part of that is about feeling out your animal, knowing the color of the animal, and then moving around as you need to, either in, a movement of a pattern of the device or backing the device off of the animal, one of the two.
Okay, I'm going to put this up too. So one of the things that you may be interested in doing is having questions about either our red light. You could go our red light or our PEMF. But if you are interested, and we have this over here, one of the things that we offer now are these human FDA registered PEMF devices. This is the Nova HD. We also have the AuraWave unit. These machines are available for purchase now. Again, they are FDA registered. The Nova HD Plus is also FDA cleared. We are working to get the AuraWave FDA cleared. But if you're working with humans and you can do this same thing.
Yes.
You can have red light and PEMF with your Aura device.
Yes.
So if you want to if you have questions about those devices, if you have questions about getting those devices with one of our red lights, you could scan this QR code. And then in the bottom, it'll say, hey, what questions do you have? You put that in there and one of our product specialists will get back to you very quickly. So this is just a really great way if you want to talk about pricing or the differences in machines. Again, this is the Nova HD. Very close to the same as the Spiro. If you are familiar with the MagnaWave line, lightweight. Look at this bad boy. It's digital. You can put it airplane.
Yeah.
You travel with one of these, don't you?
Carry with one all the time.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I thought. You had this. Now someone asked about a child, a 4-year-old child, and obviously you're not this child's doctor, but she's got a 4-year-old child that has really bad, intense leg pain. I don't know a lot, but could you do the PMF and the red light on that?
Absolutely. I mean, so lots of kids go through growing pains as they're getting length of their bone. They're literally pulling, stretching muscle structures, tendons, and ligaments. Lots of aches and pains. There are a lot of kids who actually do have arthritis, believe it or not. The juvenile arthritis situations are very, very real, very uncomfortable. There are a lot of common cold viruses that also impact the muscle itself, causing what we call a myositis or a muscle inflammatory process that's just achy, crampy, painful. That's mostly in the thigh and
the growing pains
and the calf. Yeah, the growing pains are massive. So yes, absolutely, you can treat with red light and with PEMF in that situation.
Yeah, and I would do it. I actually use PMF on all my children, especially Kara. You know, Cookie. She will sit down in the circle and be like, "I need a session," and she's like, "I need a session." She's 5, and she's like, the other day we were in the car. She's like, "Mom, I want to go home and have a session." And I was like, "How cute is she? Like she knows all about it." Like people are like, "What is she talking about?"
What does she mean?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So Lisa says, I grew hair back on a doodle whose back went completely naked after a mass removal. I did LZR first and then PMF. All his hair grew back within 8 weeks. I saw him once per week. And I've seen this with hair regrowth. Have you heard of this with red light?
Yes.
Okay.
Because what we're doing in part with our red light treatments is when we're treating those cells, a couple of things happen. As we warm them up with this specific range of light exposure, we do 2 things. We increase collagen and we increase cellular activity. And so things like skin tightness, little glow in the skin, and then regrowing some hair. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're a woman and we treat your face, you're going to end up with chin hair. That's not what we're talking about.
No.
But we are looking at highly, rapidly reproducing cell structures like hair. Hair's one of the fastest growing cells in the body. So if I impact that cell, make that cell healthier, then it will do its job. And so what we do find is hair health is improved. So thicker hair, more hair, softer sort of stuff that goes on. Just like if we're treating your face, you're going to have an increase in your collagen, which is kind of a big deal for some people right now.
Yeah, a huge deal. I like to do with the red light on my face is to put on all of my moisturizer at night and then use the red light. And what I like is it's so quick. You see people online, they're walking around like with these advertisements with the mask,
right?
And they look like a scary Halloween person. But first of all, who has time for this?
Yeah.
These are childless people.
Yeah.
And they're able to do this for long 30-minute, 45-minute period of time, which if I sit for that long, I'm asleep. So I really feel I like that within 1 minute. I can put this on within 1 minute. I'm getting and if I do it, sometimes I'll do it in the morning and at night. It's just a really great way to make your skin feel good.
Yeah.
That's why if you come to Wi-Fi, you ever heard of that?
I've heard that.
Yeah, so
once or
wellness
twice.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe this one.
Yeah, she's got the. But when we go there, if you get a hydrofacial, we put the red light on your face afterwards to help with the absorption. Is that it? Really, what it does? It helps with the absorption and that collagen production.
It very much does. So moisturizers, again, be careful what brand you're using, how clean it is, those types of things, because no matter what is there, it's going to drive it into the skin faster. And our skin is realistically one of the major detoxifying centers of our whole system, our whole immune system. So between that and the gut, those are the 2 major processes where we actually eliminate things that we don't want. But the skin absorbs a lot if you put anything on it. So we have to be a little bit careful about product use, about what's in it, how clean it is, those types of things. And then 2, when we look at red light being absorbed, there's a few ways that it can be modulated, right? So the red light can, if this is the skin surface, it can bounce off of the skin surface. So if you use a really oily product, that might be the case. So just kind of looking at that, we have absorption where the red light will go through the skin surface to the target. We have transmission though, which means it's going to go through and deeper than the target, right? So you're still getting therapy, but maybe not all of the therapy that you want. And then we have some scattering. So it can go down through the target, bump into one, cross over to another, and then disperse from that point.
Wow.
So we're looking at multiple ways that this red light can be absorbed into the body in its total format. So the key with your cosmetics or your moisturizers is just keep them very clean, keep them very healthy.
Okay, so Kathy says we are taught that PMF should be done about 6 hours apart for more than one session a day. How long should we wait between LZRs or red light sessions in a day?
I mean, there's not good data that'll tell you a specific timeline. I've looked, I tried. So, I mean, it kind of is about how fast you want to move a problem. How much time do you really have, or your client, how much time do they really have across the board? But I mean, twice a day, totally reasonable.
Yeah, stick to it. Morning and night, like you would with PMF, is what I recommend. Any more than that,
hours is great.
Your body can absorb only so much energy, right? So is that the same thing with light?
Well, light exposures are a little bit different, but what we're doing is maximizing some light with power, right? So, I mean, you could spend, all day in the sun and exposing yourself to that. And that's called a bright light, which is a little bit different than what we're utilizing, right? So when we're looking at the red light, ultra sort of infrared zone, it has, again, that longer wavelength. So the more we're stacking that length into a concentrated range, that the higher the power, then the less exposure you really require. So, again, could you expose yourself all day? May not be that smart, because there is a moment where too much of a good thing is a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
So too much red light exposure isn't necessarily your best choice. Just kind of like staying on the beach all day sometimes leads to a burn, and that's not your best choice either, right? So you just in moderation and smartly would be what we would recommend.
Absolutely.
Common sense.
Common sense. So if you're interested in getting a red light, this is the discount code. This is good until basically this is over. So once we're done, this is gone. Do you have any specific training with red light, Joanne? Yes, we do have a full training, a training protocol, curriculum. Thank you so much. Training curriculum in our certification. Some people are asking is this good for things like chronic pain? One person said fibromyalgia. What do you think?
Absolutely. Because again, what we're doing is we're helping a cell heal. And anytime I can heal a cell, it does its job well. And whatever is wrong with that area that had no functioning cells in it, if I can get that whole group back together doing their job, then a lot of that pain, a lot of that inflammation disappears.
So some people are asking if it can go through clothes. Now, red light specifically, maybe some red lights aren't strong enough, but I don't know. But the 10 watt and the 20 watt red lights, yes, through clothes.
They can, but I'm going to argue that skin surface is better.
Yes.
I mean, there's that. So PMF certainly through clothes. We don't care what you're wearing. That magnetic field that's being created will encompass, the human body. So we're not worried about how many layers and those types of things of the clothing. The red light, though, really does matter. So if you've got a thin layer of clothing, we're probably fine. But if we've got a sweatshirt, a sweater, jeans, may not be your best choice. So if you can get your clients in t-shirts and shorts, probably a win.
I agree. Let's see. Worked on a very stoic mare, no signs of release ever. Just for hoots, they used the red light down her back, and the release came immediately. See, just for hoots. I like that. Just for hoots.
Just to try it.
Yeah, but that's true. That's where I was always amazed whenever you use both of them. The difference is, even with human beings at Wi-Fi, we'll notice I had a woman with her wrist, and she had been doing everything in the center. And she said, yeah, just, my back, everything feels great, but this wrist, and I came over and I did 30 seconds, maybe a minute with the red light. She was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So now she comes in all the time just for that. Yeah. I mean, just red light and PMF every day.
Yeah. Because those modalities stack, right? So again, if I combine them, I'm not just getting the impact of one. So not just red light, not just PMF, but I use them together. And all of a sudden, the number isn't 1 + 1 is 2. The number is 1 + 1 is 10, right? We're exponentially changing the energy movement of the body. And that's where the money shot is, frankly. That's where you're going to move that needle of health the fastest and the most broadly.
So Leslie was the one who asked about the 4-year-old with hip. So she said she has a simi, and the 4-year-old with hip dysplasia and leg pain. So how long do you think she should use the PMF and the red light?
I mean, so the hip dysplasias are growth abnormalities, right? There's a thinning of the bone, or it's a friction that's wearing off of the bone, or the blood supply into that bone isn't great. There's a lot of, sort of reasons why that all occurs. So what we want to do is make sure that the inflammatory process, because it's not fitting into the joint normally, that are disappearing. What we want to do is increase, vascularity to that space. And in addition, what we know PMF also does is it encourages bone growth. So if we can build a little extra bone, feed it with its supply of nutrition and blood flow, and then minimize the crankiness of it with the inflammatory process, then we will again feel better. But over time, there's potential for that to then normalize, would be what I would argue. What we're doing in part is stimulating healthy cell growth, and all of our cells have a limited lifespan. They die, we replace them. Every 18 months to 2 years, you've got a totally brand new body in every cell. So the stem cells are responsible for that. So if I can create better stem cell growth process or density, which we do with PEMF, great data that tells us that, was just on a stem cell webinar last night. So we know we do that with stem cells across the board, which is fantastic. If that stem cell can then propagate healthy cells that it's building for us all the way down the line, then the entire growth process changes, right? So when we're looking at how long do you treat something that's chronic or more disabling, we want to be fairly aggressive over at least 30 to 60 days, and then maintenance it over the next length of time that we're going to propagate new stem cell growth. So over the next 2 years.
That's great. Someone asked you, we need to shield your eyes from the red light.
I would close them because all of it, like really bright light exposures matter to optical densities and the retina in and of itself. But the visual spectrum and the infrared spectrum are actually healing for the retina. So you can either put like a mild, sunshade on if you wanted to, but just closing the eye would be enough. I actually treat my eyes. I need them. And I have to have corrective lenses now. So we're trying to improve some of those things. So I actually literally will put that directly in front of my eyes, close them, and do, the 30-second treatment on them to help them out.
Yeah. So, it's, and really the classification of the 10 watt and 20 watt red lights that we have here, they are all class 2, where as long as you are if you're using it and you're just blinking normally, they're totally safe. You don't want to stare at it. If it's on your eyes, like she said, close your eyes. Someone asked about a class 4 laser and what the difference would be from ours. Do you know?
So the lasers are a very different modality. I say that only because they are in the same light spectrum. But they are one wavelength. That wavelength goes in one direction. It's highly focused and highly concentrated. So it's a very powerful tool that realistically if we're using it all the time in medicine. There's cold lasers, there's, treatments for different issues. It creates the similar properties of the LED class devices that we are using. But it's just a higher concentration in a smaller area. So the training is pivotal in what you want to do with it. It does heal skin. It can help with regrowth of things. They're excellent modalities, but they're usually in the hands of professionals that are trained for long periods of time in order to know how to use them, what the length of time is that you can apply in each zone and how frequently to do that.
Yeah, it's just easier.
Well, yeah, there we go.
It's beneficial. It's easier.
Yeah. Well, and most of the lasers are, pinpoint sort of beams, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the devices we're using, broader surface area, right? Multiple waves of light. So we're really hitting not just in that ultra sort of infrared zone, but we're hitting red and white light. And that combination, the body actually does better with. So if we're looking at general healing, general cell growth, general decreased pain, inflammatory cycles in general, we want to be in the spectrum that's broad, that has some of that wavelength variability in it, because we know that those are very effective. If I singularly focus you, it becomes a very different tool. It becomes more like a welding torch. Like it is what it is. So
yeah. Okay. So my kid, Mary Beth says my kids love PEMF. Is there any worry about it affecting growth plates in young kids?
So we know that PEMF is a bone growth stimulator, but will it change your predictable growth height parameters? No, it will not. We've not seen any data that says that.
Then, how deep does the red light penetrate? So, and if I heard you correctly, the 10 and 20 watt, they penetrate differently, one's deeper, or are they the same?
They are probably very similar in depth. We're talking about, depth at max is going to be between 5 to 7 centimeters, a couple of inches in terms of the depth. The reason that it is that way is because most of our light wavelengths are absorbed with water, and our body is 80% water, right? And if you have an area that has higher blood flow, then that zone will absorb more of that light in those superficial skin surfaces. So we're looking at depth of penetration, but we're also looking at what absorbs it and pulls it away from you. So, we're not talking about like a PEMF device that will really go, skin surface, subcutaneous fat, muscle, bone, and then come out the other side, right? We're doing a whole diameter with that. What we're getting with any type of LED exposure and red light therapy is, a depth of about that. So you're looking at more superficial treatments across the board, and it's really predictable about water volume and blood flow to that surface space. So what we're looking at between a 10 watt and a 20 watt though is time, right? We're not looking at necessarily depth, but we're looking at how long do I have to hold it in one spot to get the impact that I'm looking for.
Wow. So do you think red light would be beneficial on like a hoof or like just skin?
No, I think any cell structure realistically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, especially maybe bottom of the hoof where you're going to get, all the way through. That might be very effective.
Okay, so then can you tell me a little bit about could you use the red light on cancer? There's a woman in here talking about cancer. I know that there's really serious things about malignant like skin cancers. You can't use it. Do you know the information about that?
So, cancer is always one of those hot topics, right? And we're always kind of mitigating the line of what, an oncologist, board certified medical doctor is going to tell you about treatments. They are, going to be a little more regimented about what they can recommend because there are standard operating policies and procedures, based on evidence medicine that they are going to follow as a protocol. So bending out of the protocol for any of them is going to be challenging because if we bend out of the protocol, then we change the way that protocol may function and work, right? So, but across the board, if I optimize a cell, if I create a stable environment that it's working in, if I set it up to do its job and then help it get its job done, which is what we're doing realistically with PEMF and with red light therapy, then most of those cells do better. There's great cancer data for PEMF at this point in the game. We're increasing oxygen, we're increasing cell structure function. All of that is proven. People won Nobel Prize figuring that cancer can't survive in oxygenated areas. So we're merging into the data of PEMF and cancer in its therapy and its use. Red light may be a little bit further behind that across the board. The fear factor is if I bring blood flow to a skin cell, does it then make more of itself, right? So does the cancer grow across the board or not? And that's where some of this data is just lacking. So I would argue if you have something like cancer, talk to your regular doctor or your oncologist, see what they know about it, see if they recommend you utilizing it or not. So if you have a skin lesion, I'm going to argue don't treat over it until you talk to somebody professional about that. But that doesn't prevent you from using it in other areas of your body.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting for everyone, or just not interesting, but everyone to understand, if you are starting any modality at any time and you are under direct doctor care, you need to speak with your doctor and you need to encourage, if you're a practitioner, you need to encourage others to do the same. Any type of, because doctors are smart. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, and they know things. And so it's really important to tell them that, like, yes, Dr. Myers knows a lot about indications and about the wellness that we do here with the PEMF and the red light, but she doesn't know your specific issue or your customer's specific issue. So please have them speak or yourself speak to your medical professional. And if that medical professional has questions about PEMF or red light, this is a great webinar to send to them. Also, there's great information on PEMFprofessionals.com. That's the AOPP. I highly recommend you go there for research. They also have a red light certification, and all red light isn't created equal. If you, the red lights that we offer, the 10 watt and the 20 watt LZR red lights, those are much stronger than a lot of the red lights that you see. We don't strap these to an animal. And I'm not saying that these red lights are those red lights that you may wear or strap on or put on your face are worse or better in any situation. All I'm saying is with the strength of these, they're quick, they're effective, they penetrate well, that we know we have proven that they work. So going and buying a different type of red light that you may be able to wear for hours there's a big difference there. Yeah. Correct? Like some of them are just not made equal.
Right. Yeah. It's like anything in life, right? So if wearing it for an hour a day is your jam, then you should look into those devices. They will be good. You should look at the spectrum of light that they are engaging, and you should look at the power that they are providing, and then, make your choices. Again, we've got a good broad variety of wavelength in ours. And they are higher powered, which means you just need to use them for a shorter period of time. Very effective.
So one person asked about using the word therapy. Obviously, Dr. Myers can use the word therapy. She is a medical professional. The reason that we recommend that people don't use the word therapy is because some states consider the word therapy an actual medical term. Some states don't. Some states you can say that you do all sorts of therapy, and it's not a medical term. So that usually, if you want to use the word therapy and you are working with doctors that may be recommending you or veterinarians that may be recommending you, it's fine to just do some research about where you live. Because if therapy is a term, is a medical term there, you don't want to be making any claims that are specific to your state. Okay. It says, good scientific articles about PMF. Stride Performance Therapy, it's AOPP. I'm going to just put it up. Just give me a second. You know what? I'm just going to put it up for you. So that you could find the good scientific articles right here. This is the research. This is all clinical trials, double blind, plus all of them that have to do with PMF. They're right here. They're unbranded. They are excellent. So if you'd like to learn about research, it's right there. And if you have not joined the AOPP, what are you doing? Okay.
It's a great resource, and they're just there to facilitate you for questions or for resources. They've got some forms that can help you with each of your clients to kind of streamline what you do. Fantastic place to be.
Karen says, why would you buy the 20 watt? Karen, I don't know if you've been listening, but it's amazing. Okay. The 20 watt and the 10 watt, they pair so well with PMF. And, I work a lot with people who are trying to build their business. And what I realize is a lot of people will get a machine and they'll say, okay, I'm going to run my business. But in reality, yes, PMF is a great business. Having a MagnaWave machine or an AuraWave machine and running that is fantastic. But you are really the product.
Right.
Your education, your people are not going to switch to someone else for price or anything else. If you have a good toolbox with modalities, you know how to use them, you know when to use them, and you have the confidence to help guide people. And I think that's what we really want to focus on. If you going in, a lot of people say, well, what will you charge for this? Well, usually I just have a all around, like, this is a session cost. So let's say $55 is a session cost for a person at Wi-Fi. So if they're coming in, they want to do a session, it's $55, averages about 30 minutes, but we go in and we say, okay, use the PMF for 10, then use the red light. And so whether they use both or not, it's $55. They come to us, we do those sessions and we customize it to them. So the red light rolls into that, but that value of that $55 increases because we are the experts.
Right.
And that's where if you start going in and saying, oh, I'm going to charge, I made this mistake. You remember this. You're going to charge, $25 for this, $25 for this, and $45 for this. What happens is it becomes like a menu, and people are so worried about cost that they'll only pick one. And then if they don't get the results they want, then they're upset. Or they don't come back to you. But if you say, look, this is my protocol. I come in, I am the person that recommends how, when, and how to use these. And you get confident enough to do that by taking our training, AOPP's training, listening to these awesome webinars. Then you can go in and you can say, all right, I'm going to give you the best recommendation that's tailored for you. And you become the expert, not just someone who operates a machine.
Well, and winning, you came in offering PEMF and you've included something extra. And if you present it that way, a lot of people are just like, oh my God, I got this thing. I thought I was getting this, but I got both and it's so amazing, right? So, I mean, you just look brilliant when you go in and you help people. And really your ultimate goal is your raving fan, your repeat customer, right? So providing them an extra service or getting them to feel better, they're going to bring you back, period, right? And so part of what, your question is the 10 or the 20, again, 20 takes, 30 seconds, the 10 takes a minute in each section. So part of it may be about your time and how much time do you want to spend in each place before you move to your next client or next service animal. So, you've got to kind of figure out what your schedule and day looks like and how that may be part of it. Because again, we don't want you PEMFing and red light treating on top of that, right? So you're doing one and then you're doing the next one. So if your time matters, then the 20 may be your better decision.
Right. Would red light be good to use on a horse the day of a horse show? Would it benefit the horse's performance? I mean, I would say this. I'm a big 12-hour owl. Like, I believe that
Yeah.
any session should be done 12 hours out, because everybody's different, like physical bodies.
Yeah.
And some days, right before an event, being relaxed is not a great, and sometimes it can relax you one day, and then other days it gives you energy. I have personally found red light can give me energy. I remember Erin?
Yeah.
So Erin was one of our first employees. I love her. Anyways, she used to use the red light, and she would be like, I can't do it anytime past 2:00, or I can't sleep. And because it would just make her feel so good. So she would do it in the morning. Well, that's not everyone. And maybe not all the time for her whole life would it be like that.
Right.
So it's just 12 hours out. Yes. Is it going to help the performance of the animal if you keep that horse well and feeling good and, recovering faster? Absolutely. But I wouldn't do it right before a performance.
Well, and if you do decide to make that choice, because red light draws blood to a region, right? So if we're looking at skin surface, muscle structure, then that might be helpful on a level, but practice, right? Don't do it on the day of the performance for the first time. Maybe do this in some of the preamble where you're saying, hey, we're going to pretend like we're in the show. Let's treat and see what we do. And then tomorrow, let's not treat and see what we do. And then compare, results, because everybody's a little different. Like Alane said, animals behave differently. So some get really ramped up, some get really like chill and relax. Well, chill and relax is not exactly what you want to be right before you're supposed to run like mad. So, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like if it energizes you, then great. But if it energizes you and it makes you not capable of focusing on whatever pattern or path you need to be taking to, that you have to be aware of as well. So again, practice and see. Some people may think that it's magic, and some people be like, never do that again. So give it a shot, see what you do, but don't do it on the day.
Okay, so exactly till you know. Then you know. When you know, you know. So Tina's asking if we need certifications to do this. And let me be very clear. Anybody can buy a red light from all sorts of places. Anybody can buy PMF from all sorts of places. We carry what we consider to be the absolute best at oral wellness and MagnaWave PMF devices and red light devices. The absolute best. And trust me, my dad and I have tried them all. I'm not kidding. So the reason that we carry these is because we know they work. And I will say this, you can buy products all the time, but you are never going to use them to the optimal amount if you do not get the correct training. So all of our products come with certification training. Yes, I would recommend getting red light certification. In some states do require some documentation. It really depends on where you live, but majority of the time with red light and PMF, it is just important to do continuing education to understand what you're doing. I have an oven. They had like a video that I could watch. I didn't, but I did like a year later, because I was like, I'm not using half of this. Like it does so much cool stuff when we redid our kitchen, and I'm like, just bake, but like it could, 375. But I was like, oh my gosh. Like we can convect, we can air fry things. Like it's amazing. And then when I started using it correctly, I was like, wow, you're spending the money for this product.
There's an app for that. You can start it from the office and cook it while you're gone.
There is an app for that.
I know. It's
Isn't
crazy.
that cool?
It's very cool.
I know. I love that. Okay.
So I would echo that. I mean, we want you to be the best you can be at what you're doing, and we want you to optimize the tools that you have. You will enjoy your day more. Your clients will appreciate that about you. And you being really, I would agree with Alane, you are the product. You are the reason they bring you back. So if you are more knowledgeable, answer their questions, make them feel safe, secure, and cared for, then winning all the way around.
Yeah, someone asked about the benefits of red light on dairy cattle, and I'll say this, Megan, the results that we found for PMF and dairy cattle and their milk production and their ability to not have mastitis or those infections has been incredible. We actually have a study going right now that we are working on that is the results so far have been unbelievable. Like they're ruminating more, they're sleeping better, they're producing more milk, there's less infections. It's incredible. So adding the PMF, great. First of all, hair loss issues like ringworms, stuff like that that red light's gonna be beneficial there, right? And then just doing the very similar things. If you see what we're noticing is if cattle, as we track them, especially the dairy cows, if they're not ruminating, they're not sleeping the same, they're not eating as much or as they should. Once those numbers and you provide these types of therapies, these wellness modalities like PMF and red light, you have the ability to turn that animal around without drugs or any type of shots or medication, which then affects the dairy that you're getting out of the cow.
Correct.
And I have learned so much I kind of obsessed over pigs ago and was like, are you Googling show pigs again? And I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. But then the dairy cow, the way that they track and keep up with these animals, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, you have to be able to track all the way back. I mean, that's what the FDA requires. So it's a little bit like manufacturing something. I need to know where the screw and the bolt came from. And that's what they do with most cattle, meat and dairy products from them. So it's kind of mind-boggling.
So here's a great question for you because you've had this experience. A horse just lost a part of its hoof. Would I red light that or PMF? Tell them about
Oh, God, both. Absolutely do both. Yeah. I mean, we had a horse that ended up with the coffin bone injury, actually. Which 5 different vets told us to put her down, period. You don't heal from that. They never recover. They don't walk. The coffin bone, as it just drives the hoof up through the P1, 2, 3 bone sections, right? So, but we weren't willing to let her go. She was one of our heart horses, I guess is the easiest way to say it. We didn't do much with her other than love her. And she was amazing.
Well, that's a good thing to do with them.
It's a great thing to do, honestly speaking. So very therapeutic, very, bring my heart rate down, blood pressure normalizing, all the things. So we took her every day to our little stock in our barn area and treated her and literally healed the bone. She walked, ran, galloped. It was amazing. She had massive hoof damage that healed. She had a lot of other injuries on her body. I think we think she went through a barbed wire fence being chased and jumped a little bit and did some wrong things.
Pictures and the documentation of this are amazing.
Yeah, it was a rough injury. And she healed beautifully. And at that point, all we did was PEMF. If we had a red light device at that point in the game,
you would have.
I can't imagine how much faster this would have gone for her. So, but yeah, it's possible. And I would try. And we were doing every other day treatments. We were doing, not just the hoof, we were doing the leg, and then we were doing the spine length, because as we don't weight bear on one side, everything else gets a little sore and out of balance. So we were kind of doing whole body management, but really directing it on the hoof. So, and it worked well.
So if you're enjoying this and you want more of this and you want to learn a whole bunch of stuff from us, go here to magnacon.com and get your tickets because MagnaCon is coming. Amanda will be there and there's going to be so much information. Again, if you purchase before January 1st, you're entered to win, I believe, a 20-watt red light device. So if you purchase before January 1st, your tickets, whether virtual or in person, you are entered to win that, which we are going to give away in the new year. If you're interested in an oral wellness machine, one of these bad boys, or one of the MagnaWave devices, then scan this, ask us any questions that you want. It's going to go directly to our product specialist, and we're going to that's the red light, the MagnaWave, or the Oral. Now, I think we should give away a red light, a 10-watt red light to someone.
Yeah.
So pick a number.
Got it.
Yeah. Well, okay. Tell me the number. Just tell it to me because we can't. It'll break the internet. So tell me the number.
Out loud.
Yeah.
8.
Okay. Somebody in marketing, go through and find the 8th comment, and just everybody remember that the comments that you are seeing just Facebook. We are on 2 YouTube pages as well. So it would be the 8th comment from either the top or the bottom. It's up to you, marketing, and send us that name. That is going to be our LZR winner for today.
I think that'd be fun. I think they would appreciate it.
Okay. I think everybody's going to kill me if we do this.
I think it's going to be super fun. You might break the internet with this.
Do you think it's okay? Okay, so this is what Dr. Myers thinks that we should do. Dr. Myers thinks that starting now, if you purchase a MagnaWave machine or a machine, we're going to give you an LZR 10-watt.
Semi-10
and up.
Yeah.
We'll just give it away.
I think I think that's a good plan.
That's $1,900.
I mean, we're saying use them totogether, right? Are you on my side with this?
I think that they're probably on.
I think yes. I think
your
yes.
side. So, okay. So I hope somebody in sales heard that. So we're going to give away maybe for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, let's do 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. And if you purchase a semi-10 machine and up from the line at MagnaWave, and then any Aura machine, you can get a free 10-watt red light.
Red light. I like it.
I hope my dad doesn't see this. Oh my God, we're going to dinner with him. I'm blaming on you.
I got big shoulders.
Oh, this is great. I'm shaking. Okay, so let's see. If you want to get a PMF machine and an LZR, now is the time, apparently. Ask your product specialist if you have questions about it or you would like to do that. Here, let's use this QR code really quickly. What is it? The red light form? I don't know. No, let's just do, just do this one. If you're interested in getting a machine and I guess getting a free 10-watt LZR, then go here and tell them that you want that, and everybody's gonna kill me. Okay, so we have a winner. Wait, what did Cameron say? Everybody's laughing at what Cameron said. I don't know. It's gone, but Cameron said something because everybody was like, LOL, Cameron. See, they're like laughing. All right, so there we go. So the winner is Lynn Myers. That's the same last name as you.
No,
not related. Not related. No,
totally guessing.
Congratulations, Lynn. You get a 10-watt LZR with right now. Yes, if you want to get a machine, now would be the time because we're giving away Red Light LZR 10 watts, a $1,900 value. I'm sweating. And then let's see. Oh, and there is a discount. If you're interested in getting the discount, I'll let it go for the end of the day today because it seems like we had some problems. Contact your product specialist. Let us know. Just go to our website, Orwell's website, fill out a form and say you want to get the $250 off and free shipping, and we will take care of it. Just mention this ad. Again, if you want that red light special, you need to mention this. Because the salespeople I don't know if they know. So you need to mention this so that they are aware what you are talking about. We'll let them know. Otherwise, if they didn't watch this, then they don't get the 10-watt LZR for free.
There we go.
So tell your friends, I guess, if you want them to take part. The banner says Alane is so much trouble. Who put that on there? It wasn't me. Okay, congratulations, Lynn. Cameron gave you the double stink eye. Sorry, Cameron. All right. So I think we're good. We've answered a lot of questions today. I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for joining us. And again, if you want to come to MagnaCon, contact us at support@mwpmf.com, sales@mwpmf.com, however else you want to talk to us if you're interested in purchasing something and getting your LZR 10 watt. Dear God, what did you get me into? This is going to be great. Hi, Faye.
Fun. Yeah.
Okay, congratulations, Lynn. We'll be in touch to get your stuff so that we can get you out your machine. And otherwise, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.
Absolutely.